was having a reaction to blood pressure medicine. But what we found out one year in 2011, I had gas leaking in my home for a number of years, and it just went undetected. And I had extreme loss of energy. I had memory loss. I couldn't sleep at night. I went into depression and began to have thoughts of suicide. And even though I was drinking more than 5 gallons of water in 2 days, I still couldn't sweat. I couldn't pee. I had colon pain. And my diet reduced to the point where I could only eat green foods. Well, I began taking Relive, and I got results with the very first shake. And as I took the shake consistently, I got my energy back, and I could sleep at night, and the depression did lift. And Relive allowed me to function. And what's important about that is I was able to get out of my home and maybe go to the bank or the grocery store. And when I did that, I was breathing fresh air. And I truly believe that the fresh air combined with the product is what saved my life. And one June 2011, after we detected the gas and got it corrected, I got even more results on the product because now the product is not competing with the gas. So now the product is not competing with the gas. So I got my energy back, and I could sleep at night, and the depression, it did lift. My blood pressure leveled out. My memory improved. And excuse me, that's somebody knocking at the door, and their dog's going to bark. And my memory improved. Yeah. And so Relive, I went through all of that, and I'm totally medicated-free. So Relive has just truly been a blessing to my life. I don't think I'd be here today without it. And, of course, the business works because the products work, and I love doing the business.
Well, that's amazing, Marsha. And to think that all that time that you were being slowly poisoned.
Yes, ma'am.
It's great that Relive did come into your life when it did, and you know, who knows, maybe you've saved that life, you know, because continual poisoning from gas is just not a good thing. And I'm delighted that you are sharing the business with everybody because we feel an obligation, don't we? When we get results, and well, even before we get results, there's that obligation to share the good fortune that we've found with other people that we care about. So that's great, and may you just go from strength to strength. So thank you so much for coming on the call. Really appreciate your input, and thank you.
Did you want a business story? Did you want me to share the business story?
Yes, if you would, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm really happy to. I'll try to keep it short. It was just amazing. I had retired from the Air Force in '95, and I had started my own business as a speaker and writer, but I couldn't launch it because I was sick. And but Relive sent me a check for over $340, and apparently I had done some business and wasn't even enough for me to remember it, but I got excited, and I thought if I could make that much without trying, how much could I make if I was trying? And I got excited, and I went to the conference. I tapped my mom on the shoulder, and I said I wanted her to come with me, and I still was not feeling quite up to par, so I packed a great big ice chest full of green food, but I was determined to go. And what we saw there really amazed us. We saw the original owners, Bob and Sandy Montgomery, on stage, giving God the glory for the company. And for me, it made me feel like that was a safe company to get involved with. And then we continued to listen, and we heard so many people getting their life back with things like diabetes and hypertension and asthma and allergies and eczema. And I said, oh, these people can't be lying. If it can work for them, it can work for me, because at this point we still didn't know what was wrong with me. But we continued to listen. And we were just totally amazed. We met so many, this is my story now, we met so many Relive-made millionaires, we stopped counting. And I got excited because there was nothing ever in my life before that made me realize I could ever earn as much money as Relive distributors are making. And I said to Mom, how much fun do you think it'd be to be a Relive-made millionaire? And so we both laughed, but, you know, there's a lot of seriousness there. I mean, I got hope for the first time in my life that I could make something beyond, you know, living paycheck to paycheck. So got really excited, but what really convinced me to get involved with this company is when I heard about the Cloggers Foundation feeding over 40,000 women and children a day for free, and seeing those babies before and after pictures of how this amazing product has just changed their little bodies. And I got excited. I love mission work. I came home. I signed up at the top profit level, and I started sharing Relive. In a very short period of time, I made $7,000. And I couldn't believe it when my CPA told me I made $7,000. And she said, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep helping people. and that's what I do today.
Wow. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. My check just continues to grow. I keep sharing, and my check continues to grow.
It's a serious business, but it's so much fun, and you do just make a difference. And it's when you make a difference in people's lives that it becomes more than just a business. And thank you. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Marcia. Great story. Really appreciate you coming on. Well, now I'm going to go to Carol Hammer. Carol, would you like to share with everybody your story? Because everybody's story and journey is different.
I'd be happy to. Can you hear me?
Yes, fine.
Good. Hi, I am Carol Hammer. I do live in St. Louis, Missouri, about 20 minutes from Reliv's headquarters. But when I heard about Reliv about 12 years ago, I was seriously ill. I'd been diagnosed with Crohn's disease about 9 years earlier and was on some medications and tried a lot of different diets, and nothing really made a difference for very long. I have 4 children, and I was homeschooling or trying to, the youngest 2 kids, and we were expecting our first grandchild in a couple of months. But my state of mind was depressed. I spent most of my days either in the bathroom or on the couch trying to help my kids with the things they were learning, and didn't see how I could be of much help to our daughter with this new baby coming along. And even though they lived 5 minutes away, I just didn't get out much. I was so sick. So when a friend shared this with me, and I saw some hope in her that I hadn't seen in a long time, I decided to take a look at this. I got on the products very gradually because I was so sick, but got immediate results, almost immediate results with more energy. I hadn't had energy in years. And my digestive system began to improve. I was also postmenopausal with all those major symptoms, and gradually over time they dissipated to the point that they didn't come around anymore. I have horrible sinus infections for decades of living in St. Louis. I've been told I was probably allergic to the St. Louis area. And that was just not a good thing when my husband grew up here, and this was our home. So my sinuses began to get better. Today they're 90% better than they have ever been in the past. And my postmenopausal symptoms, like I said, disappeared. My digestive system was a wreck. I found out during the course of my first year on Reliv that 2/3 of my colon was scar tissue, and my surgeon, colon and rectal surgeon, removed it. The first thing that I had after that surgery was a Reliv shake, and I continued to heal from that surgery. I had to have another surgery a couple of years later for a hernia, and again, the first thing I put in my mouth when I could have anything other than ice chips was a Reliv shake. And today, that last surgery was 9 years ago. Today I'm 65. I feel better than I did in my 30s. I have 4 grandkids, all boys, 4.5 years between the youngest and the oldest, and I can keep up with them. Another daughter is expecting her first baby in September, and I know that I can help with that baby. And because of what this did for me and began to do for my husband, who had lifelong constipation, and got some almost immediate help as long as he stayed on the shakes faithfully, I began to share with some people, kind of backed into the business. I had sworn off network marketing because I had a lot of really bad experiences, even though I believed in the concept. But I did kind of back into it as I began to hear more stories. I went to a conference. I met some people and found out that this was different than anything else I'd ever seen. So beyond my results, there were all these other people that, like Marcia was sharing, that were making incomes, that were sharing with people, and I began to do that as well. My highest month's been $1,750. I have a barking dog as well. I've done this very, very part-time with family, just a growing family and getting sidetracked. But the neat thing about Relive is you can continue to come back to it and have new beginnings. And I'm just excited for the future, that I don't have to just live on Social Security, and that I can also help people who come into my life that need to hear about this, for the business, for the products, for both. I do know where Relive is today, and I've seen the plant, and I'm just so excited about the discoveries that are continuing to be made about what nutrition can do for people. And I will continue to share this for as long as I'm able.
Well, that's great, Carol. And, you know, I'm sure it's the same for you, but over there, as it was for me growing up, but I always remember Grandma and Mother saying, you are what you eat.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's come full circle. I think people are beginning to realize that what we put in our bodies is key to our health and to our well-being. And really, it has to be the best thing you can put in your body. So thank you so much for sharing this story. It's great to hear it.
I'm glad to.
Quite fun that you live right next door to Relive headquarters.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, now I'm going to go across the pond, back across the pond to here, to my son Matt. Matt, are you on the line, and would you like to share how Relive has impacted your life and is continuing to do so?
Certainly, I am on the line, and can you hear me okay?
Yes, fine.
That's good. Well, hi everybody. My name is Matt Probart, and I just moved to a bit further outside of Derby in the UK. Before Relive, I was a very fit and healthy early 20s, did a lot of running, played a lot of sport, and when I was told about Relive, and obviously saw my parents take it, I didn't think it was anything I needed because of how healthy I was. A few years down the line, I started picking up sports injuries, and it was mainly tendonitis in my knee and shin splints in both legs. And I went to different physios, chiropractors, acupuncturists, anybody really that wanted to take money off me. And although I would say they all gave me some relief, it was no more than a day's worth, because the only remedy any of them offered was to rest, and that wasn't going to happen, because as I say, I was early to mid-20s and very active. So the pain always came back. I started taking the products after going home one weekend, and in the August of 1 year, and within 6 weeks of taking them, all the pains had gone, and I was still playing cricket, I was still running, and they've not come back. And that now is something like 10 or 11 years ago. I don't get to go running anymore, but I still play cricket when I can. My day job is a gardener, so I do a lot of walking, a lot of kneeling, a lot of carrying heavy things. I get absolutely no pains whatsoever in my legs. And that is down to Relive. I couldn't have been a gardener if it wasn't for Relive, because I wouldn't have had the health. But also, on the other side of that, I couldn't have been a gardener if it wasn't for Relive, because the business has allowed me to follow what I enjoy doing. Because prior to really taking the Relive business, I worked in a mortgage broker's, sat at a desk in an office all day. And it's not what I liked, it's not what I enjoyed, and I took a very big pay cut from that job to go and work as a gardener. But having Relive there, knowing that I was getting a monthly income, allowed me to do that. And that was a huge, huge thing for our family, because it made me happier. I came home from work at night, I may have been tired, but at least I was happy and not stressed. But with the Relive business, it's something we've been working part-time on for a number of years, always doing a little bit more when we can, but it still paid us very well. We've had a top monthly check of just over £1,200, which included a bonus for £300. Had another bonus for £250. We've been to a European conference, which was all paid for by the company, so it's travel, accommodation and the tickets. And I've also been invited to the guest days of the Millionaires Weekend. So Relive has really, for a part-time business, rewarded us very well indeed, and it's something that as time moves on, we're going to put more and more effort into helping as many people as possible build their own businesses, and just see where it takes us all.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Matt. And I know your story backwards, but it's great for people to hear it if they haven't heard your story before, because you certainly weren't somebody who came to Relive because you were sick. You know, you were fit. You just had some injuries, which obviously drew you back to your mum. At last, you listened to me, and we know that you are just going to build the best business you can imagine over the next few years, and it will enable you to. Well, now you've changed to have your own business as a gardener. It's given you the freedom to continue to build your Relive business, and I know it's just going to get better and better. So thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem, thank you.
Well, as Joni said right at the beginning of this call, we have a very special guest on. Well, all our guests are special, but we're delighted that Liz Vreeland, who's a presidential ambassador, is able to join us on the call and share her amazing story with Relive. Liz, it's a pleasure to have you on. I'm just going to hand over to you and let you share just your whole journey with Relive. Can't wait to hear it again.
Thank you. I'd love to. How's everybody doing today?
We're fine.
Good. Well, it was 18 years ago that Pete and I were introduced to Relive, and really at the time had no idea what we had a hold of. Both of us were in corporate America, had great jobs, but it came at a huge cost. We had no family freedom, and we had twin girls, and when they were 3.5 years old, we lost my mom suddenly to a heart attack, and I came home from corporate America, and soon after that I found Relive, and it enabled me to stay home. You know, I was very unhealthy. I had very bad migraines I was dealing with since I was a young girl, and that was the reason why I got on Relive. I wasn't looking at that business, but after getting great results with the migraines, really right off the bat, I never got another migraine, so it was a huge blessing. And so I just started sharing it with the people I loved and cared about. I was excited. I didn't even know what I was sharing other than the products worked for me. But, you know, our income began. We were making $500 to $800 a month that first year, just sharing, you know, part-time around the girls. And in the meantime, I started to get great results on the products with lots of other things. I had perimenopausal symptoms. They were totally gone. I was born with a heart condition called mitral valve prolapse that created heart attack symptoms for me on a daily basis. I had numbness in my arm, chest pain, and anxiety attacks for 20 years. A year and a half taking the Relive products, my symptoms were completely gone. And when I went back to the doctor for the second echo, he called the next day to tell me there was no sign of the mitral valve prolapse. And he was so shocked he got on product. His irritable bowel syndrome went away in 3 days, and then he joined us in the business. So, you know, I just continued to get results as I was sharing these products and the business opportunity. But it was about, I think it was about 7 years in, I got bit by a tick and ended up with Lyme's disease. And unfortunately from that, it went through the blood-brain barrier, caused swelling on my brain, meningitis, and then the Bell's palsy. So I just took lots of shakes. I knew the products worked, and I needed to flood my body. A dear friend of mine, Joe Felger, said, it's only food. You could take lots of it. So that's what I did. We were actually in Anchorage, Alaska with the Wolves and Carol and Joe Felger, and we were just opening the car up and the back of the trunk and drinking shakes along the road. And by the 12th day, I was symptom-free. I had full mobility back in my face, and the doctor at the Tick-Borne Lyme Center could not believe the difference in me from the day we left. I went to him the day before we left for Alaska and went back to him the day after we returned, and he was amazed and told me I did not need the intravenous. So totally changed my life, and I've been able to help a lot of people also that have been going through Lyme's disease. It's really kind of crushing. So my twin daughters have gotten great results on the products. Both of them blew their ACLs and tore their meniscus 8 months apart, and they were both out playing way ahead of time. They're crazy soccer players, and one of them just finished up her senior year of college, and they're still playing. They still play on the weekends, but the products have been great for them too. And Pete had very bad arthritis. My husband Pete with very bad arthritis in his neck and his back, both bad bone spurs in his ankles. He was bone on bone in one knee. And at 6 months, he was pain-free, sleeping through the night for the first time since I had met him. So it's changed all of our lives, health-wise. And as I said, we just continue to share the hope that we had been given, and our income just continued to increase. By the third year, we were ambassadors, and our highest month has been over $32,000. We've been on 30 all-expense-paid trips all over the world. And it's just enabled us to be home with our kids. I mean, now this year, big changes in our lives. Both of our daughters got married 11 weeks apart, and they both graduated college, and Pete and I just moved to our dream home on the coast in South Carolina. And, the great part about Relive is that we can share it. Doesn't matter where we are. As long as we have a phone, we can talk Relive and help people. So we love what we do, and we will surely be sharing it for the rest of our lives.
Wow. I love your story, Liz.
Thank you.
It just it encapsulates everything about Relive. It's just wonderful, and how great for your girls to grow up right from when they were small with Relive in their lives.
Yeah, and we feel very blessed about that. Before Relive, they were 5.5 when we got them on, and before that, they were sick all the time with strep throat, ear infections, bronchial stuff, and it was because I was on heavy-duty antibiotics for the heart condition, and they pumped it through me for 16.5 hours while I was in labor. So that went right into their systems. And we've had one round of antibiotics in 18 years.
Oh. It's so amazing.
It is. Well,
thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Giving us your time. I know how busy you are, and it's just lovely to have you on the call and let people hear your story, whether they're over in the UK and Europe or whether they're back there in the States. It's just lovely to hear everybody's stories. And
it is, and I love sharing. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Well, I'd just like to thank everybody who shared, Marsha, Carol, Matt, and Liz. Great stories today. But I'd also like to thank Joni, who does an awful lot of hard work putting this call together.